In the shadowy depths of the 1930s, a chilling series of crimes unfolded in Cleveland, Ohio, leaving a trail of fear and unanswered questions. Welcome to the enigma of the Cleveland Torso Murders, a case that has perplexed and haunted the minds of many for decades. Between 1935 and 1938, a sinister predator, dubbed the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, unleashed a reign of terror. The butcher's signature, gruesome beheadings and dismemberments, a horrifying trademark that left even seasoned detectives aghast. Amidst the despair of the Great Depression, this faceless killer claimed at least 12 victims, possibly more, preying on the most vulnerable in society. The bodies, often found in the desolate industrial wasteland of Kingsbury Run, were so savagely mutilated that many remained unidentified. And in a twist that adds to the mystery, the legendary lawman Elliot Ness, known for his takedown of Al Capone, stepped into the fray. Despite his best efforts, the case became one of his most personal and haunting failures. Today, we dive deep into this dark chapter of American history, unraveling the clues, the theories, and the legacy of a killer who vanished into the annals of time. Join me as we explore the unsolved saga of the Cleveland Torso Murders. To truly understand the Cleveland Torso Murders, we must journey back to Cleveland in the 1930s, a city of stark contrasts. The Great Depression had its grip firmly on the nation, and Cleveland was no exception. The once thriving industrial powerhouse was reeling. Unemployment soared, poverty was rampant, and the city's underbelly began to swell with desperation and despair. The economic turmoil created a breeding ground for crime and vice, shadows where a predator could easily hide. In this era of hardship, Cleveland was a city divided. The wealthy enjoyed the luxuries of the Roaring Twenties, while the less fortunate faced a daily struggle for survival. This disparity was most evident in places like Kingsbury Run, a notorious slum area, infamous for its squalor and crime. It was in this tumultuous landscape that the Mad Butcher found his hunting ground. The chaos and desperation of the times may have provided the perfect cover, allowing the killer to strike repeatedly without detection. The social and economic conditions not only influenced the killer's choice of victims but also hindered the investigation. With limited resources and technology, the overwhelmed police force found themselves grappling in the dark, trying to catch a ghost in a city of shadows. In the heart of this dark tale are the victims, each a tragic reminder of the human cost of these heinous crimes. The Mad Butcher's prey were not just numbers, they were individuals, each with their own story, largely forgotten by history. Most victims were from the fringes of society, the downtrodden and the forgotten, making them easy targets in a city overwhelmed by poverty and despair. These were people who had fallen through the cracks, often transient workers, the unemployed, and those seeking refuge in the anonymity of the city's darker corners. Their identities, for the most part, remain a mystery lost to time. Only two were ever positively identified: Edward Andrassy, a man known to frequent the Kingsbury Run area, and Florence Polillo, a waitress. Their stories, like those of the other victims, were cut brutally short. In remembering them, we must look beyond the gruesome details of their end. These were people with hopes, dreams, and families, people who found themselves in the wrong place at a time when the city's shadows were deep and dangerous. As we delve deeper into this mystery, let us not forget the human element, the lives that were unjustly taken, and the voices that were forever silenced. They are the heart of this story, and their memory is a solemn reminder of the true cost of these unsolved crimes. As we delve into the grim chapter of the Cleveland Torso Murders, the discovery of the bodies stands as a stark testament to the brutality of the crimes. Each discovery brought more questions than answers, deepening the mystery. The bodies were found in various locations around Cleveland, most notably in the Kingsbury Run area, a bleak and desolate ravine known for its poverty. The first two victims were discovered in September 1935, setting off a terrifying pattern that would continue for years. The state of the bodies was horrifying. Many were beheaded and dismembered, with the cause of death often difficult to determine due to the condition of the remains. The precision of the mutilations suggested a killer with a disturbing level of skill and confidence. Forensic technology in the 1930s was in its infancy. Despite this, investigators worked tirelessly to gather clues. Fingerprinting, one of the few available forensic tools, was used, but the lack of advanced techniques and the condition of the bodies made identification a daunting task. Each new discovery was a grim puzzle. The lack of witnesses and the killer's apparent ability to leave no trace left investigators grappling in the dark. The bodies told a story of unspeakable violence, but the silent lips of the victims offered few answers to the desperate questions of who and why. At the heart of the investigation into the Cleveland Torso Murders was Elliot Ness, a name synonymous with law enforcement excellence due to his famed takedown of Al Capone. Ness's involvement brought a glimmer of hope to a terrified city. Ness, appointed as Cleveland's safety director, threw himself into the case with his characteristic zeal. He organized massive police raids, combed through records, and even consulted with mediums in a desperate bid to find the killer. However, Ness and his team faced monumental challenges. Forensic science was in its nascent stages, fingerprinting was the cutting edge, and DNA analysis was decades away. The lack of sophisticated tools meant investigators had to rely on more rudimentary methods. The police faced the daunting task of investigating in a city rife with crime, where witnesses were scarce and fear was abundant. The transient nature of many victims, coupled with the killer's apparent meticulousness, left few leads to pursue. Despite Ness's best efforts, the case remained shrouded in mystery. His inability to catch the killer haunted him, a rare blemish on an otherwise illustrious career. The Cleveland torso murders would go down in history as one of the most perplexing cases he ever encountered. The Cleveland torso murders, shrouded in mystery, have given rise to numerous theories and suspects over the years. The killer's motives and methods have been the subject of much speculation, adding layers to an already complex puzzle. Some theories suggest the killer was driven by a deep-seated pathology, perhaps fueled by the social and economic turmoil of the time. Others speculate a more calculated motive, possibly tied to organized crime or a personal vendetta. Several suspects emerged during the investigation, each with their own chilling potential to be the Mad Butcher. Among them was Frank Dolezal, who confessed to one of the murders but later recanted, raising questions about the validity of his confession. Another suspect was Dr. Francis E. Sweeney, a skilled surgeon who failed a polygraph test administered by Ness himself. Despite this, Sweeney was never charged due to lack of concrete evidence and his political connections. The list of suspects also included various transients and criminals known to frequent the Kingsbury Run area, but none could be definitively linked to the murders. The lack of advanced forensic techniques meant that investigators had to rely on circumstantial evidence and intuition, which proved insufficient for a conviction. To understand the mind behind the Cleveland torso murders, we delve into the realm of criminal psychology. What could the nature of these crimes tell us about the killer's psyche? The brutality and precision of the murders suggest a killer with a complex psychological profile. Some experts theorize the presence of a psychopathic personality, characterized by a lack of empathy and remorse and a tendency towards calculated, meticulous violence. Modern forensic psychologists offer insights based on the known details of the case. They speculate that the killer might have experienced a sense of empowerment and control through these acts, possibly driven by deep-seated issues stemming from their past. The dismemberment and disposal of the bodies in such a public manner could also indicate a desire for notoriety or a form of communication, a grim signature left by the killer. The Cleveland torso murders, a series of brutal killings that occurred between 1935 and 1938, gripped the nation with fear and intrigue. The media coverage was extensive, contributing significantly to the public's anxiety. Newspapers and magazines across the country published articles, often with sensational headlines, that captivated readers. The public reaction was a mix of fear and fascination. The gruesome nature of the murders, combined with the mystery surrounding the killer's identity, fueled widespread speculation and discussion. This was a time when the media played a crucial role in shaping public perception and discourse. Decades later, the legacy of the torso murders continues to resonate in popular culture. The case has inspired numerous books, films, and TV shows, each offering its own interpretation or dramatization of the events. These adaptations often focus on the mysterious killer, the investigative challenges faced by law enforcement, and the sensational nature of the crimes. While the Cleveland torso murders remain one of the most notorious and unsolved cases in American history, there have been recent attempts to shed new light on this mystery. Here's what's happening now. New book and discussions. A new book titled American Demon by Daniel Stashower focuses on Eliot Ness's investigations into the torso murders. This book, along with other recent publications and discussions, revisits the case, offering fresh perspectives and insights. Public interest and exhibitions. There's ongoing public interest in the case, as evidenced by events like the show at the Loudonville Museum, which discusses the torso murders and Eliot Ness's role. These events keep the story alive in public memory and sometimes bring new theories to light. Media coverage. The case continues to be a subject of fascination in the media, with various articles and reports exploring different aspects of the murders, the investigation, and the cultural impact. Forensic advances. Although there haven't been breakthroughs using modern forensic techniques, the advancements in forensic science keep the hope alive that one day, these techniques might provide new clues or even solve the case. Ongoing mystery. The Cleveland torso murders still captivate and puzzle experts and enthusiasts alike. The challenges in solving this case include lack of modern forensic evidence. At the time of the murders, forensic technology was not as advanced as it is today. This limitation means that crucial evidence that could have been collected then is not available now. Complexity of the case. The sheer brutality and complexity of the murders, coupled with the lack of witnesses or clear motives, make this case particularly challenging to solve. Time factor. With each passing year, the likelihood of uncovering new evidence or witnesses diminishes. The Cleveland torso murders continue to be a dark, intriguing chapter in American criminal history, a mystery that still awaits a resolution. As we reach the end of this chilling journey through the Cleveland torso murders, let's take a moment to reflect on the enduring enigma of this case. Despite the passage of time, the mystery continues to captivate and baffle. The identity of the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run remains one of the most haunting unsolved riddles in the annals of American crime. The gruesome nature of the murders, the lack of conclusive evidence, and the involvement of famed lawman Elliot Ness add layers of intrigue and complexity to this dark chapter in history. Now, it's your turn to dive into this mystery. What are your thoughts on the Cleveland torso murders? Do you have any theories about who the killer could have been or what motivated these horrific crimes? Your insights and speculations are invaluable in keeping the discussion alive. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's continue to unravel this mystery together. Who knows, maybe one of you holds the key to solving a puzzle that has stumped investigators for decades. Thank you for joining me on this journey through one of history's most perplexing unsolved cases. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of true crime. Stay curious and keep seeking the truth.